Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining this edition of Clear Tech Loop. It is a special edition with our friends at Commvault getting ready for RSA. We've got Chris Bevel, practice lead for cybersecurity and AI, visiting with us today. Hey Chris.
Hey, Joe, it's nice to meet you and David.
Nice to meet you as well, and glad that you could join us. And Dave Lithicum, my friend, well-known cloud and security expert, and we're just going to take a couple minutes and chat through some questions here with Chris. So let me go first. Um, how does ResOps bring together security and operational teams for improved AI-enabled recovery?
Yeah, Joe, that's a great question. And, when I think about ResOps, I really think about it as solving a problem a lot of organizations have really had for a long time. If you think about it, when you look at an organization, security teams and operation teams are both critical, but usually they're coming at something in different directions. And when I starting to think about, okay, that's how we normally work. If a ransomware attacks and we continue in our normal methodology and we have this major disruption that occurs, what'll generally happen is we're all running in two different directions. Security might say, we found an issue, and backups and this IT security people may say, well, we have backups, and the problem is everybody's running in different directions. What ResOps does is it really gets everybody focused in one line. It gets security and operations and the identity and all the teams really as a whole to just start thinking in one focus. And that way we can have real recoverability, if you will, because we all are marching to the same beat. We've practiced, we've tested with chaos. We know what we're supposed to do. And through that, we're all working as one team.
Sounds like a better approach.
It's a much better approach. I know you've lived the CISO world as well as I have. And, if you've ever unfortunately lived through an incident, you know what happens. Everybody's going in 100 different ways. We eat lots of pizza, and we have, a stinky room that we're all hanging out in. And the reality is, if we all worked together and we all knew what we needed to do, from our incident response plan to our cyber recovery plan to our cyber resilience plan and on, then what happens is we all work together, and it's just a much better outcome across the board for everyone.
So are you saying we get less pizza? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Well, I could probably do without more pizza, but yeah, let's hope that we could get less pizza. I think that would actually work for us.
All right. All right.
I got a tougher one. So the Commvault ResOps solution provides AI-enabled proactive detection and defense. As organizations invest more and more in AI, what's included in that detection and defense, and how can the security really move the needle for clients?
Well, how come Joe got the easy question? Now, I think the best way to answer that is really, David, is starting by keeping it real, because really this is not about throwing AI on a slide and pretending that someone solve some kind of cyber resilience thing. And it's also not about going in and replacing somebody's security stack. If you think about it, the real value is whether AI helps customers make better decisions faster and when things are going sideways. And with our ResOps model, AI enabled protection and detection and defense is really about bringing all of that together. It's bringing our signals. It's doing a lot of other components for us, so that we can really see a lot easier how, the identity behavior is there. We can see what privilege escalation, configuration drift, it just brings everything together. If you think about it, when we look and think about AI now, and you look at an x-ray, we're seeing things that AI is seeing things doctors can't. And that's what's happening in the cybersecurity world as well. It's just things that we would overlook as time goes on. And obviously with AI, I could talk for days on this, because really, any of those by themselves looks just like any other alert, like I was saying a minute ago. But when you can connect them all together and tie them together, you begin to see that little crack on that bone. You begin to see the things that really you didn't know were there before. And it really allows you to start seeing a very clear, clean, trusted, and safe path forward. So that's how AI is really beginning to help us think through things. And, like I kind of like to, use another analogy where when I'm thinking about AI, if you go back to the Winter Olympics and you think about that downhill skier, they have a spotter or coach that's always really trying to talk them through and tell them on the run where they're trying to go, what they're trying to understand, to spot those dangers. And really, I think that AI and AI and resilience is that as well. It doesn't replace the people, but it really helps them see more of what we're trying to do just more clearly, and it helps us make decisions better and faster.
Yeah, it's taking advantage of the dynamic capabilities of AI. I think that's kind of core to this, and that's something that's going to have to be happening because you're in essence spy versus spy, fighting fire with fire, and you have to be able to match it up with something that's going to be provide the resilience. So next question: working with the Commvault team, I know that you folks are about continuous validation and improvement. So what is the concept of recovery as code? Or ROC.
Yeah, I really like this. When you listen to it, though, it sounds super duper technical, doesn't it? And if I'm supposed to be talking super duper technical, we're in a world of hurt. I'm that CISO that came from the GRC side. So we like to try to make things a little bit more straightforward. And actually, it is. If you think about recovery and code, it basically really means recovery should not live in some weird, dusty old run book or have some tribal knowledge, with that guy that's got the knowledge in his head. We all have that one, and he winds up being on the cruise when we're having an event or something, But it's that one thing that we want to think about, and it's really just not a great model in the way I just described. Now flip that, and if you think about it, and the idea of recovery should be structured, it should be repeatable. We should be able to test. When we start thinking about that, then we kind of think about infrastructure as a code. So we're kind of beginning to make it easier. So now we say, I think I know, I can rebuild this. And you're actually codifying those dependencies that we have. We get to look at our operations different, our workflows function more, and it just really allows us to recover a lot better. And it's really a more modern recovery strategy that really lets us think about how we get our data back, but most importantly, how we get our data back cleanly and we get it back in the most efficient and effective way. A lot of people say, oh, when a cyber event occurs or something occurs, RPO and RTO go out the window. They kind of do. But the reality is what really we're saying is they're still there. We want to get back to that recovery point, that recovery time quick, but we got to have all that data coming in clean. And we've got to make sure that all of that works together so that when we pull the trigger and we come out of those clean rooms and we come out into these different components and our apps come back and our identity comes back, it's clean so that we can turn it on. Does that make sense? I tell you, I get kind of excited about it. I'm trying to not use all my analogies that can't use them yet on you anyway.
Makes fine sense to me.
Yeah. So Chris, last year at RSA, I got to sit in the live ransomware event where we recovered, and it got me thinking a lot. And I thought, gosh, if applications go down, what's the first one to come back up, and how do we know if it's good or not, right? So for folks that are not familiar with Active Directory resilience, what is that?
Well, let's think about Active Directory as a whole. It's kind of the brain of the group because that's where everything lives within an organization. If I'm a bad guy and I can get to Active Directory, I can go anywhere I want to go. And that gives me the keys to the kingdom. So, I simply think about Active Directory resilience as it is really about restoring that identity because that Active Directory has everybody's identity. It's the keys to the kingdom. And when we begin to look at control plane access and privilege and policy and trust across the environment, we want to be able to bring that back. And that's the thing that we've got to bring back first, if possible. And so that's where we really try to encourage a lot of people to think about, when I need to come back, what's the most important crown jewel that you can have? And that is Active Directory. Because once I get Active Directory restored, it's good. But here's the kicker: getting Active Directory restored, it still has to be clean. You've still got to make sure that nobody's there. I heard a story last week at the HIMSS National Conference, and somebody was telling their story. Oh, we got all clean. We got everything back up. We knew we were ready to go, but we'd forgotten to look in our Active Directory, and the bad guy was right back again. So just restoring that server's not enough, and just, bringing Active Directory is not enough, but bringing true, clean Active Directory methodology into how you come back is critical. And that means being able to identify those bad changes that were in Active Directory, making sure that the right objects and settings are done. Because what the bad guys want to do is they just want to change it all. And, to kind of give you the final story on the story they told us, Joe, it was really interesting. There was one of the guys that kept his admin password off system, and they were lucky because they had been blocked out, and he had violated the policy of the organization. But luckily, the password had not been changed. So he was able to get in, and they were beginning to pull things back. So he got an award for, breaking the policy in the beginning. But the reality is Active Directory is critical. And, now we're actually going to be extending into Okta as well. So
I saw that. I thought that's great, because so many enterprises have Okta. So tell us what that's going to let a customer that has Okta do in the event of a ransomware attack.
Yeah, it's gonna get us even more relevant, because identity today doesn't just always sit on-prem anymore. And
Right.
a lot of organizations are operating around Active Directory and cloud identity systems. So when we begin to partner with Okta, we're going to be able to help really overcome a lot of those challenges that our folks will normally see. And we're really looking forward to the partnership with Okta.
That's awesome. Well, lots of exciting things happening at RSA. Y'all come see our friends at Commvault at RSA. Chris will be there. Michael Fasulo, lots of the great Commvault team's going to be there, and we hope to see you too. So thank you for joining today.